So how do we put this all together to create our own stuff? Wouldn't that be an interesting question to ask? Say again? Any question? Oh, it was a yes, thank you. Oh. Let's start again. Wouldn't this be an amazing thing to be able to put together and create your own techniques anytime, any place you want to? There you go. Why not? All right. I'd like to introduce you to the concept of giving people gifts. Many of you have already done so. What is the hypnotic smile if not a gift? Right? It's an experience they can take away with them that will improve the quality of their life somehow. And if nothing else, it's a charming experience that'll stay with them. You've been doing it for each other, partly because it's functional, but partly just because it's gosh darn nice thing to do for someone, right? But that's not the only kind of gift you can give to people. I mean, think of it this way. You all heard fairy tales, when you were kids, like the little fairy that saves Rapunzel or whoever it was, right? Thank you. Clearly my education was well-deserved there, right? So if you imagine you were one of these fairy godmothers who had the gift of the magic wand, at the end of the magic wand, of course, the person has some trait, some ability. Life is somehow different. What kind of things would you want to be able to give to people? Just think back to self-confidence as an example. So we've got confidence, inner peace, right? So what do you mean by access to resources? So calmness is a resource, right? So all these things are resources, right? How about making good decisions? Isn't that a nice thing to give to someone, right? What about, I don't know, confidence we have there? What about, I'm just trying to get out of the traditional therapeutic resources to get you like creative. Excitement, how about loving life and being excited? Isn't that something worth giving to people? Appreciation for having a good life or something like that, right? Yeah, sense of humor, right? Being decisive, right?
The release of inhibitions.
The release of inhibitions, did you say? Right? I mean, you can do a whole bunch of things. You have wisdom, you have... the amount of gifts you can give people is about as limited as human creativity, isn't it? And of course, if you can't think of anything, ask someone to help you with your creativity, in which case you'll go right afterwards and be better. So you can give people a lot of things. So let's just take some of these things. Let's take, for example, the idea of wisdom, right? Making better choices is perhaps part of being a wiser person. Being a better person is including the idea of wisdom, is it not? How might you give someone the gift of wisdom? Or, I'm not suggesting that just one induction will make them, the Buddha, wise as anything. But you can increase constantly their potential, how much they do with it and what they have access to and so on, can you not? So how might you increase someone's wisdom, thinking through this idea in terms of like a power loop of some sort? Better concentration? Let me help you with this a little bit. Has anyone here ever heard a fairy tale or a legend or a myth and that revolved around the idea of wisdom? Anyone? Yep. Give me some examples of the fairy tales, the legends or myths that revolved around wisdom. Jack and the Beanstalk is about developing a wisdom, so like, don't go climbing strange things that go up in the sky, right? Don't mess around with GM crops, because the giant will come and get you. Right? The Ugly Duckling, which is probably more about self-confidence, self-esteem, but yeah? Go ahead. Crying Wolf. King Solomon is a classic story about wisdom, right? Yoda in Star Wars, that's a modern legend, right? Three Little Pigs could be. So, Obi. He's right there. Our cameraman's called Obi, so we have, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.